Hare Krishna. Today we will discuss Canto 7, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished, text 27 and following. We will hear the pastime of the binding up of Ashvatthama today. So we will start reciting verse 27. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Petedam Donaputrasya Brahman Astram Pradakshitam Naivasuveda Sammaram Pranabada Upashtite. But for what translation? Shri Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uvacha said, Vita, just know for me, Idam, this Drona Putrasya, of the son of Drona, that Brahmanastram, hymns of the Brahma nuclear weapon, Pradakshitam, exhibited, not eva, even, asa, he, Veda, know it, Samaram, retraction, Pranabhade, extinction of life, Upashtite, being imminent. Translation and purport by Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, know for me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. The purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So the Brahmastra is similar to the modern nuclear weapon manipulated by atomic energy. The atomic energy works wholly on total combustibility, and so the Brahmastra also acts. It creates an intolerable heat similar to atomic radiation, but the difference is that the atomic bomb is a gross type of nuclear weapon, whereas the Brahmastra is a subtle type of weapon produced by chanting hymns. It is a different science. And in the days gone by, such science was cultivated in the land of Bharatvarsha. The subtle science of chanting hymns is also material. It's also material, but it has yet to be known by the modern material scientist. Subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still subtle, more subtle. A chanter of hymns knew how to apply the weapon as well as to retract it. That was perfect knowledge. But the son of Brahmacharya, who made use of these subtle signs, did not know how to retract. He applied it, being afraid of his imminent death, and thus the practice was not only improper but also irreligious. As the son of a Brahmin, he should not have made so many mistakes, and for such gross negligence of duty, he was to be punished by the Lord himself. Om Jnana Timandasya Sananjana Shakaya Sakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chichaitanyamanovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Skamrupagadamam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamalam Shirom Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Jarachatam Saganaragnatam Pitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivishakam Pitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Vanajat Pate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchna Gawangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sutta Devi Panam Maharipriye Vankha Kalpta Visha Kripasana Visha Padam Pavan Bhyo Vaishnavya Namam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavani Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Senyavadi Paskachai Desatai Srila Prabhupada Ki. So after the killing of the 5 sons of Draupadi, Ashvatthama fled. That he fled being followed by Arjuna and Krishna. Krishna on the chariot was driving. Krishna was driving the chariot of Arjuna. That was during the battle of Kurukshetra. But Ashvatthama, being afraid of his imminent death, because why was he afraid? He was fleeing, but his horses became exhausted. He had to leave his horses. He was running, and he saw Krishna and Arjuna coming far away. So he threw the Brahmastra by chanting hymns. But he had learned how to pronounce the hymns for creating this Brahmastra, but he did not know the hymns how to retract it. And we have heard in the previous verses, Arjuna sees these effulsions coming, which is like a nuclear bomb. This heat is coming up. And he prays to Krishna, says to Krishna, I don't know what this is. What is this? These effulsions. And he asked Lord Krishna to make him fearless. He took shelter of Krishna and prayed to Krishna and now Krishna is speaking. Now, this speaking of Krishna is interesting. That's the first time Krishna speaks in the Bhagavatam. This verse, the first time Krishna is speaking. And he says, Know for me that this act of the son of Drona, he has drawn the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract declare he was helplessly. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. So, although Ashvatam was a Brahmin in name only, he was the son of Dronacharya. That was a Brahmin. But he never became qualified as a Brahmin. Therefore, Prabhupada calls him a Brahma Bandhu, friend of the Brahmins. That because a Brahmin acts religiously. It's one of the goals of a Brahmin. And we see here, that Ashvatam is acting against religious principles. This is not the behavior of a Brahmin. But nevertheless, he's recognized as a Brahmin, and we will see later. Draupadi will make that point. Although he had killed her 5 sons, she will say, don't kill him. He's our spiritual master, he's a Brahmin, and gives him respect. We will see that in a few verses. But from this purport, and that's very interesting, it means that not all mantras are spiritual. And most of the Vedas are not concerned with spiritual topics. They are concerned with topics in material nature, karma, kanda. What's material? Material is to act for one's own sense gratification, or for seeking liberation. That's also material. What is spiritual? Spiritual is to act for the pleasure of Krishna. A devotee always acts for the pleasure of Krishna. That's an element of pure devotional service. One should act for the pleasure of Krishna. One should act for pleasing Krishna. Therefore, devotional service should be favorable. Favorable is it should please Krishna. That and then becomes spiritual. So conscious meditation on Krishna was meditation on a spiritual object, the supreme spiritual object, but it was not pure devotional service. Yeah. So, like a devotee may do many things. In the morning, we brush our teeth. Is that spiritual, a devotee brushing his teeth? Good question. But the devotee, why does he brush his teeth? He does it for the maintenance of his body, right? And he uses his body in the service of Krishna. Therefore, he brushes his teeth for Krishna. It is spiritual. But usually a devotee minimizes his body activities. So therefore, mostly what's going on as religious activities, they are material. It's not that service to man is automatically service to God, is spiritual. No. Philanthropic work is mostly material. God is not involved. So that's a lesson to learn here, certainly from this paper, that not all hymns in the Vedas, all mantras are spiritual. That so there are mantras, that's one signs in the Vedas, that in earlier times they knew how to control material nature. That's how to live in harmony with nature, so that nature would cooperate. Today, that is not a concern, and we see what's the result of not living in harmony with the laws of God. But so many wars are going on. There is no pure water anymore. All water, whatever source, it's contaminated. You have to purify it with filters. The air is polluted. That the climate changes. This is because we are not living in harmony with the Supreme. That, but in Vedic times, they knew this way to live in harmony with the laws of nature. That good. This is this verse. We will now see what's happening further. Text 28. Nayasyan yatamam kinchit ashtrampatya vakarshanam yastrateja utnadam astronyo yastrateja sa. O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Purport. For the atomic bomb, there is no counter-weapon to neutralize the effects, but the subtle signs, the action of a Brahmastra can be counteracted. And those who were expert in military science in those days could counteract the Brahmastra. The son of Dronacharya did not know the art of counteracting the weapon, and therefore Arjuna was asked to counteract it by the power of his own weapon. So, Krishna says to Arjuna, you are expert in military science. How did Arjuna become expert in military science? Because he was the best student of Dronacharya. But he was also educated in the heavenly planets. When he was fighting for Indra, he got so many weapons that he knew how to create a Brahmastra and how to retract it. So Krishna says, yes, that so you invoke the mantra, you pronounce the mantra for creating a Brahmastra, and then let these two Brahmastras combine, and then retract it, and both will be retracted. So that was the technique to how to counteract them. And next. Sutta uvacha shutva bhagavata proktam falguna paraviraha prishtvapastam parikramya brahman brahmastram sadade. So Sutta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched water for purification, and after circumambulating Lord Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. It's interesting. First, he circumambulated Krishna to get the blessings of Krishna. Without the blessings of Krishna, nothing in our life can be successful. So before we do any activity, we pray to the spiritual master and to the Supreme Lord for empowerment. That was also Brahma was doing that. Before creating was praying to the Supreme Lord. This is in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. He prayed to the Lord, please empower me. I prayed for empowerment. He prayed for introspection and protection. Empowerment, introspection, and protection. These three things. Empowerment means that we get the power to do our service. Introspection means that we do it in devotion for Krishna. That we have the feel connected with Krishna while we're doing it. And protection against illusion energy. So here, he circumambulated Krishna and he created his own Brahmastra weapon. Next verse. Samhatyan yonam ubayos tyasi sara samvriti pavritya rodasi kamsha pavritate rika vanivat. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, the disk of the sun, covered all, like the disk of the sun, covered all other space and the whole firmament of planets. It was like a sun, a new sun that appeared by this combination. Coupled. The heat created by the flash of a Brahmastra resembles the fire exhibited in the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. The radiation of atomic energy is very insignificant in comparison to the heat produced by Brahmastra. The atomic bomb explosion can, at utmost, blow up one globe, but the heat produced by the Brahmastra can destroy the whole cosmic situation. The comparison is therefore made to the heat at the time of annihilation. To the heat at the time of annihilation. At the time of annihilation, it's explained in the Bhagavatam. The sun, the heat of the sun multiplies. That comes. We know the sun is in a certain orbit. It is explained in the Bhagavatam. The sun god keeps the sun in orbit according to the orders of the Supreme Lord and is fearful to disobey these orders. He follows a certain orbit. If we see if the sun goes a little out of orbit, a little closer, we all burn on this earth. And it goes a little far away, we will all freeze. So it's really calculated. It's by higher authorities kept in the right orbit. But then at the time of annihilation, by the order of the Lord, then the heat raises multiple times. And it was that experience they had, the Brahmastra. The heat the radiation of, it is said the radiation of atomic energy is very insignificant in comparison to the heat produced by Brahmastra. See the heat of the atomic bomb. We have heard about Hiroshima, and yeah, that was a small bomb. Today they have big bombs. So we can imagine that was insignificant to what happened at that time. It was not only seen on this earth, but in all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. So what happened next? 1731. Tristva strategias tu taios trilokan padahan hat dayamana praja sarva samvartakam amamshata. All the population of the three worlds was caused by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Of the three worlds means the three planetary systems, higher, middle, and low. So the three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvartaka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. Prabhupada makes that point many times, that living beings are everywhere. But we think life is only what we can see to our imperfect senses. But life exists in many forms. Demigods we cannot see. The spirits, oblorins, and these creatures in ignorance, we can also not see. But we experience sometimes their presence during dreams or whatever. That you dream, and especially during twilight, sometimes lust comes in our mind, that these are subtle beings who try to use your body for sense gratification, these spirits. That therefore we avoid sleeping during twilight. During twilight we chant Gayatri mantra to counteract the effects. During twilight we go around with incense that has been offered to the Supreme Lord to keep these lower creatures away, but they are existing. But we cannot see even our own mind and intelligence. The modern science has no idea of the existence of a subtle body. That this is still beyond their scope. They will have to detect that later, maybe, if they advance in science. One day they will understand and detect the existence of the subtle body. Even that they cannot see. So how can we say that there is no life on other planets? That we think in terms of life, of biological life, the life of the human being. But there is life which is not biological as we know, but is more subtle. That subtle material science. And Prabhupada has also made that point in the first text we read. He said these hymns, not all hymns are spiritual. That, and then he explains also that modern science has not yet discovered these subtle signs. Next. 32. Padavam alakshya lokavyati karam satam matam sa vasudevasya sanyahararjuno tvayam. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and imminent destruction of the planet, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons, as Lord Krishna desired. Purport. The theory that the modern atomic bomb explosions can annihilate the world is a childish imagination. First of all, the atomic energy is not powerful enough to destroy the world. And secondly, ultimately, it all rests on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord, because he, without his will or sanction, nothing can be built up or destroyed. It is foolish also to think that natural laws are ultimately powerful. That material nature's laws work under direction of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that natural laws work under his supervision. The world can be destroyed only by the will of the Lord, not by the whims of many tiny politicians. Lord Sri Krishna desired that the weapons released by both Dharani and Arjuna be withdrawn, and it was carried out by Arjuna at once. Similarly, there are many agents of the all-powerful Lord, and by his will only can one execute what he desires. So here, Arjuna is compared to an agent of the Lord who executes his will. And all material nature is conducted as such, that via agents, demigods will control every aspect of material nature. So Krishna is Mayadakshana Prakriti. He's controlling material nature. He's the superintendent, not a blade of grass, moves without his sanction. That is the idea. That so beyond gross laws of material nature, there are subtle forces who are controlling these gross laws. And these subtle material forces, or these subtle agents, the agents of the Lord were subtle bodies and subtle powers. The subtle is much more powerful than the gross. And these subtle material powers are under control of the spiritual power of the Supreme Lord. That is the point. The scientists, they are separating material nature from the source, from its source, which is the Supreme Lord, from its direction, which is the Supreme Lord. And they foolishly think that everything depends on our power. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. So that means also in our lives, should always think, I will do this and that if Krishna willing. That without the sanction of the Lord, nothing will work. Therefore, it's our duty to use everything in the service of the Lord. And then material nature will cooperate with our desire to do service. It will not cooperate with our material desires. That's another thing. Next. Tata asadya tarasa darunam gautami sudam pabandam akshatam raksha parsham rasanayayata. Arjuna is blazing eyes, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautama and bound him with ropes like an animal. So Krishna has lotus eyes, Arjuna has here eyes blazing in anger, very red, purple. So it is mentioned here about the son of Gautami. That's Ashwatthama's mother, Kripi, was born in the family of Gautama. The significant point in this sloka is that Ashwatthama was caught and bound up with ropes like an animal. According to Sridhar Swami, Arjuna was obliged to catch this son of a Brahmin like an animal as a part of his duty, dharma. This suggestion by Sridhar Swami is also confirmed in the later statements of Sri Krishna. Ashwatthama was a bona fide son of Dronacharya and Kripi, but because he had degraded himself to a lower status of life, it was proper to treat him as an animal and not as a Brahman, who had degraded himself to a lower status of life by association of Duryodhana and all the brothers of Duryodhana. And that, so yes, but he was the son of Dronacharya. Dronacharya, a great Brahmin, who learned the science, the martial science perfectly. That's the whole story. But yes, Arjuna had to catch the son of a Brahman like an animal. He will bind him as an animal, because he acted like an animal. We will see in the next verse, 34. Shibiraya nishishantam rajva bhatva ripum balat Praharjanam prakupito bhagavan ambujeksana. After binding Ashwatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Goddess Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to Arjuna in an angry mood. Krishna spoke in an angry mood. Purport. Both Arjuna and Lord Sri Krishna are described here in an angry mood, but Arjuna's eyes were like balls of red copper, whereas the eyes of the Lord were like lotuses. This means that the angry mood of Arjuna and that of the Lord are not on the same level. The Lord is transcendence, and thus he is absolute in any stage. His anger is not like the anger of a conditioned living being within the modes of qualitative material nature. Because he is absolute, both his anger and pleasure are the same. His anger is not exhibited in the three modes of nature. It is only a sign of his bent of mind towards the cause of his devotee, because that is his transcendental nature. Therefore, even if he is angry, the object of anger is blessed, is unchanged of all circumstances. So Arjuna used his anger in the service of the Lord. That, of course, the Lord is always transcendental to the modes. So his anger is like an emotion. The anger is not affecting him. Anger is, in the mode of passion, is affecting the body. And the effect is not good on the body. That Prabhupada explains that in different lectures that it affects the chest, the eyes, and so on. And that is what happened here. That, yes, that Arjuna had copper red eyes, that, and Sri Krishna eyes like a lotus's. His eyes were not affected. They're always sweet, as always. That, but Arjuna used his anger in the service of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also used his anger in the service of Krishna. So we had, I remember always when the Lotus building was built in Mayapur, 1974 or something. Prabhupada's quarters were just finished at the Lotus building. And Prabhupada was in Mayapur and he made a walk and came back. And he came before his room, new built room. But he looked at his watch and said, "Oh, the guard should be here now." So at that time we used already security guard, Bengali security guards, and they made a certain, they had a certain route they had to follow, and they had to be at a certain time of a certain place. That was the agreement, but he was not there. Prabhupada said, "Get me this card." So Prabhupada went into his quarters in his room, and Navyogendra was there with him. And when the guard came into his room, Prabhupada, very angry, started to shout in Bengali that Navyogendra Maharaj said that Prabhupada was so angry that I was shaking of fear when he was speaking. But when the Bengali guard was outside, Prabhupada became very peaceful, like nothing ever happened. It did not affect him, the anger. He used the anger in Krishna's service. He controlled the anger. When we is in a mode of passion, that and is not engaged in devotional service, he will become controlled by this anger. That's so, yes. So Arjuna, like Prabhupada, used his anger in the service of Krishna. So we will read one more verse. Mainam parta sasitratum brahmabandam imachai yosavana rasa suptam avadin nishibalakan. Lord Krishna said, "Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmin, who has killed innocent boys in their sleep. So Krishna says, don't be merciful to us. So the word Brahma Bandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of a Brahmin but is not qualified to be called a Brahmin is addressed as the relative of a Brahmin and not as a Brahmin. The son of a high court judge is not virtually a high court judge, but there is no harm in addressing a high court judge's son as a relative of the honorable justice. Therefore, as by birth only one does not become a high court judge, so also one does not become a Brahmin simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualification of a Brahmin. As the high court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahmin is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoys that if good qualifications are seen in a person, in a family other than that of a Brahmin, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmin. And similarly, if a person is born in a family of a Brahmin, is void of Brahminical qualification, then he must be treated as a non-Brahmin, or in better terms, a relative of a Brahmin. Lord Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and he is able to explain the reason for this in the following slokas. So that principle here is that is repeated by Srila Prabhupada in his books again and again. That so he quotes many times a verse of the 7th canto spoken by Narada Muni to King Yudhishthira. It says, Yasya lakshnam praktam pumsavarna vivanyakam yat anyatrapi dristeya tatane vinirtishit. If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So one is a Brahmin only by quality. The birthright is not sufficient. One must become qualified. Even if one is not has not taken birth in a family of a Brahmin, that still he can become a Brahmin by qualification only. And that's the principle, and but Krishna will explain his reasoning of this verse in the next verses, which we will discuss next week. So, any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, English, please accept my obeisance.
Hare Krishna
Maharaj.
Maharaj, there is on the Ekadashi day, the devotees we are doing Nirjala Ekadashi sometime. Although our body is not accepting, we are doing Nirjala Ekadashi and lie down, I am doing Nirjala Ekadashi. Now he mentioned, even we brush our teeth, it is also Krishna's for Krishna's. But sometimes we are doing like this, we can fasting, and we can do service, all these things. Is this correct, is doing, or no, we can, if it is not possible, we can take some prasad and do service, chanting, all these things. What should we do that time?
Yeah, that is our Guru Maharaj many times explains that you have first class observing in Ekadashi. Ekadashi means the day before, at noontime you eat, you don't eat in the evening, you fast full. The next day, the whole day you fast. And then at night, you chant the whole night Hare Krishna mantra, you don't sleep. and then the next day, you break the fast. That's first class. But that is not everyone can do this. Therefore, yes, that we should do according to our capacity. But it's good to fast at least half a day on Ekadashi and minimize your bodily needs according to your capabilities. That minimize them. And yes, if the body is not cooperating, take some prasad, but Ekadashi prasad, and do service. Certainly. The ideas of Ekadashi, we organize that we spend less time with the body, with eating, sleeping, and so on, and engage fully in the service of the Lord. So this is individual, that if we cannot jump to the first class execution of Ekadashi unless we are determined and strong, and that takes a while. That is my understanding in the Espro.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for a wonderful class. So Maharaj, as you said, the main point was to do all the actions, all what we are doing using our body or mind for Krishna's service. I feel we need a lot of determination for that, right? Because many times, especially here in the West, I have seen our mind gets diverted very easily because there are so many things happening which attracts our mind. So we want to read something, we want to watch something, or hear something, or talk with someone. Right? So Maharaj, to have that determination and remember and remind ourselves always, what would you suggest?
Well, I'm more interested to see what Krishna suggests. He speaks about determination in Bhagavad Gita. That so unless we are pious by nature, pious, and give up sinful activities, we cannot have the determination to engage in devotional service. That's the first thing Krishna's. That's the verse in Bhagavad Gita. Don't remember the verse. He says Dritta Vrataha. That says only those who are pious and engage in devotional service, those who are pious and avoid sinful activities, they can engage in pure devotional service, in devotional service, with determination. Otherwise, there is no determination. The more one is attracted to sense gratification, the more one lacks determination. So therefore, if we are engaged in Vaidhi Bhakti and deeply absorbed in Krishna when we perform our devotional service, then we will have strong determination. Like, what's the example in the scriptures? 6th canto, Ajamil. Ajamil was completely surrendered to the sinful life. Yet he lost all his determination in devotional service. Was gone because of his sinful activities. But what happened then? When he had this near-death experience and he saw this, he observed this conversation between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas, then he understood what his problem was. And after that, he made a vow, I will never do these things again. So we need that determination in devotional service. I will never do these sinful activities anymore. I will do only devotional activities. Because if we don't do devotional activities, our activities are by nature sinful. For our own sense gratification is sinful. So we need to make that determination, strictly follow. He made the determination, I will strictly follow the rules and regulations of bhakti. Not only the negative, also the positive. It's finished. I don't want this anymore. This strong determination should be there. So I will not subdue myself to my mind, who always tells me that I should engage in sense gratification. I will fast completely on Ekadashi. Then you have determination. On Ekadashi, Guru Maharaj explains, the body rejuvenates. You don't eat and it starts to burn inside. That burning becomes very strong. But this is the body which cleanses itself. And that's good for your health. But no, we think our mind is more important. That I'm doing this and that. So we need determination, but we need that determination in everything we do. And that is cultivated first by be strict in your vaidini, in your sadhana. Strict. And determination to eat at certain times. And not just to eat when you are hungry, but be regulated in your eating, in your habits, and regulated in your performance of devotional service. So we need that. And it's good to associate with devotees who are very strict in these things and who are determined. And be strong. Be strong. That not subdued to your mind, to your feelings, and so on, but follow Krishna's directions. And your life becomes very auspicious and happy when you do that. Everything becomes auspicious. But it requires determination. So determination in devotional service is very important. Very important. Without determination, we cannot go anywhere. And determination means austere. A devotee is austere. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, one should not explain this knowledge to those who are not austere, but only to my devotees. So the devotees. Oh, yes. Austere. Have determination. And this is important to make spiritual advancement. And it is Rupa Goswami says, Utsa Nisaya Daryat. One should be enthusiastic and determined. And by that determination, yes, and having patience, we will make spiritual advancement. The determination to please Krishna and to think less of myself, but live for the pleasure of Krishna and for his devotees. Does that help, Purnachandra?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj. So if you have a couple of minutes, can I ask the following question on that?
Okay, one more question, because after that
I'm sorry.
I have to
Yes.
go, because I have my 4th class today. In 45 minutes, I have to take lunch also. So please ask your
Yeah.
question.
So thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving the importance of determination. And you mentioned about austerity is important. So how to understand austerity? Like, is it trying to put ourselves to some difficult condition? Unnecessary is austerity, or there should be some specific way how we can handle the austerity?
Austerity, Prabhupada says, is saying no to sense gratification, saying no to the demands of the mind. That requires determination. Yeah, to say no to all the allurements of Maya. That's simple. There's a simple definition. Learn to say no to sense gratification. Of course, we need to feed the body and so on. Should use our intelligence for this, not based on the demands of the stomach. Therefore, saying no to sense gratification means be regulated in your eating. So we eat in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening maybe some fruit, some very light, but nothing between. Nothing that because I feel hungry, I'm going to eat. No, you wait till the time is there and be regulated. And by being regulated, your fire in your stomach will also be regulated. That is a lifestyle of a devotee. The lifestyle in goodness helps us to say no to sense gratification. And we should combine that. Otherwise it becomes difficult. It's, yeah, when one is really regulated, it becomes easy, this austerity. So regulation is also very important. Good, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see you all next week to continue to hearing what happens with Ashvatam. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Prabhupada.